touched my heart.
That's right.
All right, so today we're starting the third week of Advent, and love is our topic. We're just a week and a day away from Christmas, and in Unity, Christmas is about the birth of Christ consciousness within us, within all of us. And I see Christ consciousness as that energy of love. That love for all that is within us. And it is awakening in us. We know that we are individual and also divine. So, to express that divine energy of love, we can do this through loving and caring actions to ourselves and to others. And it happens that I've been studying a series of 4 Buddhist virtues and meditation practices known as the Four Immeasurables. I love that word, immeasurable. Love is immeasurable. It's also known as the 4 boundless qualities, and Thich Nhat Hanh refers to these practices as the 4 aspects of true love. So I thought I'd go through these today with us. You see them in different orders sometimes, but I'm going to start. The 4 are equanimity, loving kindness, compassion, and sympathetic joy. So I'm going to start with equanimity, upeksha, also known as the wisdom of equality. This is even-mindedness, non-discrimination, the ability to see everyone as equal, not discriminating even between ourselves and others. Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself. I remember hearing this as a child and thinking, oh, that's kind of intense. How? I didn't always get along with my neighbors. There were some kids next door that were sometimes, we could be sometimes a little mean to each other. And I remember struggling with this as a child. Love your neighbor as yourself. There's no separation there. I mean, we treasure ourselves and our happiness. And to think that we can treasure our neighbor's love and happiness the same, that's a really deep teaching. In a book titled See No Stranger by Valerie Kaur, it's a book we read in our spirit group, and the author describes strangers as a part of ourselves that we haven't met yet, that we do not know yet. So I think that is a beautiful way to understand this. Everyone we see is part of ourselves that we do not know yet. It helps us acknowledge our interconnectedness. And it feels good to live this way, to share what we have with others and to help others. Have you ever had the experience of helping a stranger? That feeling of connectedness with someone you don't know. Could be a very simple gesture, but that love is so real. When you see in their eyes that they acknowledge that you have done something with no expectation of reciprocation, there's some love, energy that is felt and expressed there. And that can be with someone we do not know at all. It's a beautiful feeling. It's a greater dimension of love. Another form of love is loving kindness, benevolence, Maitri, metta. You may have heard these words. I love the way Pema Chodron describes loving kindness. It's unconditional friendship with oneself and others. Isn't that lovely? Unconditional friendship with ourselves and others. Wishing well towards ourselves and others. It's a beautiful, simple concept. Active goodwill towards all. These all start with ourselves, by the way. We practice them for ourselves and others. I one day had been meditating on loving kindness, and then I went to the grocery store. And I'm walking through ONF, and I'm engaging with other people in their eyes, and I felt like this overwhelming love for these people. And it was all I could do. I'm not the biggest hugger in the world, but I felt this urge to just hug everybody. This love that I felt towards everyone I connected eyes with was real and tender. A beautiful understanding of the true nature of love. It's easy for us to love our close friends, our family. That kind of love, it does come easily and naturally. But to extend that same love to everyone equally with equanimity, that is something to strive for. To have as real a love for all the people, all the beings of the world that we do for those close to us. No exceptions. This is the tricky part. It's so easy to feel this love for those that we are close to. And we can even feel it sometimes, like I said, for strangers. But how about for those that we do not feel such loving feelings for? Jesus said, love your enemies. Bless them that curse you. Do good to those that hate you. And pray for them that despitefully use you and persecute you. Matthew 5:44. That's pretty deep. Can we express this love for our enemies? And when we do, are they enemies anymore? Can we see the interconnectedness, that we all share the same hopes and dreams? We all desire safety and a peaceful life. Even our enemies desire that too. They're sharing with even those that we feel enmity for. So meditating on that can help us. I practice this when I'm driving. I find that this comes up. I was just driving the other day down a street where the speed limit's 35, and I was making a right turn onto a residential street. The car behind me was following me quite closely and honked at me as I turned right. And I wasn't, I had this feeling of, oh, okay, that's extreme, but all right. You're impatient right now. You're feeling impatient. I can understand that. And so, I forget which, I'm reading a lot of books right now, but in one of my books, the author describes visualizing ourselves with our arms spreading all the way around all of the beings of the earth and holding everyone in an embrace of loving kindness. And so I do that when I'm driving and someone cuts me off or honks at me. I may first have a moment of frustration, and then I think, okay, come on, I'm going to hug you too. You're coming with me. I'm taking you too. I am on an earnest path towards my own liberation, and I am taking you all with me too. All of the beings of the earth. That is my intention. There's a funny meme I saw with the same theme, where it's a dog in a driver's seat and his eyes are closed and he's got a very benevolent look on his face. And the words say, when someone cuts you off, but you're in a good place spiritually. And the thought bubble above the dog says, may the universe rain blessings upon your dumb ASS. And so that is a way we can express this. May the universe rain blessings upon you. Oh, that's a good one too. And now we come to compassion. karuna, the desire to alleviate suffering for ourselves and others. Now we know that we experience suffering. We feel very tenderly that we experience suffering, and we know how that feels. And we can extrapolate from here that all beings experience suffering. So we know what that is like, and we can have compassion, and we have a desire for all beings to be free of suffering. We naturally want to alleviate the suffering of our loved ones. But to make it immeasurable, we expand this feeling of desire for freedom from suffering to all sentient beings. I'm not just talking about people here either. All living, everything that has life, we are connected to. The animals, the trees, all the creatures and living things on the earth. These are all included in our wishes for freedom from suffering. And we can do this by simply being with someone with their pain, and being with someone quietly and meditatively, someone who is suffering. All we have to do is bring our presence to that moment and touch their suffering with them. And this can somehow transform suffering into peace and understanding. Suffering is actually just the other side of happiness and joy. And we know that suffering is there, and so is joy. And so when we can accept and touch gently and gingerly and even cradle our suffering, we can see that there is an opening there and maybe even a transformation. I had an experience one time. It was one of the scariest things that ever happened to me. I have 3 daughters, and when they were all little, it was hectic days. And we had a hectic morning, but I had an errand, one last errand that I wanted to get to. And it happens that, this is when we lived in Dallas, there was a really sweet lady in the neighborhood who had a library in her house, a children's library. She had collected all these children's books, and all the children in the neighborhood were welcome. She'd give them a library card, and she'd let them check out books. It was the sweetest little library. And we had been to the library, and somehow I had accidentally returned one of her books to the public library. And I realized this like a day or two later. I'm like, where's that book? Oh my gosh, I took that back to the public library. So I called the library, and the library was like, yes, we have that book. We have it, and I'm going to hold it for you at the desk. You can just come by and pick it up. So we had already had a busy day, but I felt so bad about losing this woman's book. I'm like, I'm going to get that book today. Gotta get it done. So the kids are all in the minivan, and we pull up to the library. We're all ragged out. We're all tired. And I said, okay, who wants to go in with me to the library? It's going to take 1 minute, I swear. Who wants to come? And one baby raised their hand. I want to go. The other 2 were like, we'll just stay here, Mom. We'll stay in the car. And so I get baby on my hip, go in to this library, and literally, with less than a minute, I'm back to the car, and I look at the car, and the car is empty. My children are gone. The amount of terror that I felt in that moment, and also kind of a sickening calm came over me, and I was scanning the environment, and I was memorizing the license plates of cars pulling out of the parking lot, and I was studying every face that I saw, and it was terrifying and calm. And then their 2 little faces popped up. They were hiding behind the seats in the car. And they were like, surprise! And I clutched my heart, and I am, hyperventilating, like, and the wash of, in that moment, my babies were gone. I had lost them. And then they were back, and I felt relief. And then it kind of quickly turned to anger, honestly. don't you ever do that again. You scared the living crap out of me. And they're like, sorry, mommy, giggle, I'm just recovering. And I collect my thoughts and collect myself, and we go home. They're down for their naps, and I'm working in my studio with my jewelry, listening to NPR, as I tend to do when I'm working, and I hear a story come on, and it's an essay about, it's an interview with a woman who lives in Africa, and there are warring factions where she lives. And she had trained her children, when the men with guns come, you run out to the woods. So one day, the men with guns came to her door, her children ran away, and they didn't come back. And it was an interview with her, and her anguish. She had lost her children. This happened, I heard this on the same day. The anguish I felt in my heart was extreme. I was her. She was me. I had lost my babies. She lost her babies. But my pain only lasted about 10 seconds. Hers had not come back. I don't know if they ever did. I don't know the ending to that story. And I felt so distraught. I didn't know what to do, what to do with these feelings. So much compassion for her. So then I remembered a practice that I had been learning called Tonglen. It's a practice of taking and sending. And so what you do in Tonglen is you sit and you picture the person in front of you, and you sit with them and their suffering. And you are willing to take their suffering onto yourself. And so you picture their suffering leaving their body as dark smoke. And you inhale this dark smoke, and you have a diamond in your heart. And this dark smoke hits the diamond and is transformed into beautiful, clear, white light. And so there's an understanding in this practice that you are willing to take the suffering. You're not going to hold on to it. It doesn't become your suffering. But the willingness to take on this suffering purifies it into a blessing. And that is what you breathe back onto the person in front of you. Pure white light blessings. You have purified their suffering just through your willingness to take it on. So that is what I did for this woman. I sat with her and her pain. It was my pain. It was the same. We were the same. And I took on her suffering, and I purified it and blew it back to her. And this was very transformative for me. I could finally do something. I could express my compassion. It was the only thing I could think to do, and I think the best thing I could do. So there is so much suffering in the world. There is so many warring factions. So many children that go missing from war. And what can we do about it? I'm just one person, far away. What can I do? I can acknowledge that we're all connected and know that their suffering is my own. So that is what we can do. We can feel our connection to each other, all living beings, and we can purify their suffering through compassion. Isn't that beautiful? It's an amazing thing what love can do. Thich Nhat Hanh says to develop compassion in ourselves, we practice mindful breathing, deep listening, and deep looking. When we are judging someone else, I feel like compassion is the antidote to judging. When we are judging someone else, we're not seeing their suffering. We're not seeing that there's someone just like us. They're another part of us. We don't have to look down on them. We can wish them well and say, oh, you're a part of me I do not know. So in presence we have clarity, calmness, and strength. And these can transform any situation. And then we have sympathetic joy. Joy, mudita. Feeling happiness. And we can feel this happiness for ourselves and for others. And sometimes it isn't always easy. It hasn't always been easy for me in my life to feel happiness for other people's successes and their happiness. I know when I was younger, it felt like maybe I was losing something if someone else got something that I wanted. I could even feel jealousy if my best friend got a boyfriend and I really wanted a boyfriend and I didn't have one. That's understandable to feel that way, but it's limiting, and that's seeing ourselves as separate again. Separate. She has joy, I don't have any joy. We can fix that by understanding their joy is our joy. It's a beautiful feeling. There's no difference between the joy. When I celebrate someone else's success, it's my success too. But it's the same joy. It's the same feeling. I haven't lost anything. I've gained that joy and shared it with them. A beautiful feeling. Have you ever, you know what I'm saying, you felt this? Feeling happy, truly happiness, truly happy for someone else's good fortune. It's amazing. It's an expression of love. We do not lose anything. It doesn't cost us anything. We gain from celebrating and feeling that joy with others. So the four immeasurables can be summed up simply in a single phrase: a kind heart. That is what we are here to express to our fellow sentient beings. A kind heart. A warmness of feeling. And now I am going to have us share a moment of meditation together and to have an experience of these words that I have been speaking. So let's get comfortable for a moment in our seats and feel your presence here today. Feel your presence in your body now, resting in your chair. Feel your breath. Accept this moment without resistance. Feel a beautiful acceptance of yourself, exactly how you are in this moment. Feel a loving kindness toward your body. Our bodies are our vehicles in this life. They're very precious. Feel the energy of your heart. Feel your heart beating. Your heart has been beating for you without stop since before you were born. Feel that loving energy. Extend that loving energy to all the organs in your body, all of your body systems. There is so much going right in your body right now. Your lungs are breathing. So much is right in this moment. And now let's feel compassion towards our suffering. Hold it gently. know that by simply your presence with any suffering you may have, it is transformed into peace. And allow yourself to feel the joy that is there in this moment. And as we feel all of this that's extended out, first to the others in this room, and then endlessly out to all the beings of the earth. Feel your arms enfolding all of the beings of the earth in a loving embrace. May all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings rejoice in the well-being of others. And may all beings live in peace, free from greed and hatred. Breathing back into this moment. Thank you for your presence here. And it is my wish that we carry this feeling of well-being towards all. Beyond the Christmas season, where it may seem a little easier than usual, let's extend this out through all the months of the year, all of the moments of our days, and all of our experiences. May all beings benefit, and so it is. Amen.